Hello, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me here today on Narcissism 101 Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. Okay, so before we get into what we're going to talk about as usual, if you want a one-on-one session, you can email me at paul.wisdom_03 at hotmail.com, or you can send me a text message at 647-406-3057. If you want to talk, if you want to vent, if you need advice, I'd be more than happy to give you the help that you need. If you want to call, just send a text to that number and just let me know that you'd like to talk about your narcissistic experience, and I'd be more than happy to give you the help that you need, and then we can move forward as such. So, what we are going to talk about today is you don't owe anyone anything. Yes, we're gonna have that. We're gonna have that talk today. You don't owe anyone anything, and it's related to the narcissistic experience in the sense that when you were in the narcissistic experience, whether it was with your parents, whether it was your siblings, yeah, whether it was in your family, whether it was at school, whether it is at your job, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's somebody you just met, a stranger, and you've never met this person, um, you were groomed because you're watching my video, right? And you're supposed to be an empath. And if you are a narcissist, then this isn't the video for you. But anyways, what I'm saying here is that because you're an empath, you most likely from the get-go, from when you were a child, you were groomed to act a certain way, to do certain things a certain way, and that is because you were being set up to fail. Well, whether you want to believe that or not, you were being triangulated between you and your siblings, and I can say I was there. I was always told that I'm such a great son, and that and all this and all that, and that my brothers don't compare to how good of a son I am, and now that I'm much older, now that I've grown up into adulthood. I've come to realize that I was set up and I was being groomed, and that that's why everyone was so envious and jealous of me, because they were told something and then I was told something else, and then as a result, I was being triangulated between me and my brothers, and so I'm saying that to say you were groomed like that from when you were a child, and you were also groomed in the sense that every time you did something, it wouldn't be given any consideration. You were just like, okay, I'll just they asked you to do it, you did it, but then when you asked them for help, they were nowhere to be found, right? And so you were groomed to think to do certain things and to act certain ways, and as a result, you always felt as though you had to, right? You always had that thought in your head that if I don't do this, I'm going to get in trouble. If I don't do this, I'm going to that people are going to think less of me. People are going to think I'm a bad person. People aren't going to take me seriously. People are going to talk bad about me and all this stuff, because that's how you were groomed to think. That's how you were groomed to feel, that if you were the one who was always the good one, that you would do it again and again and again, because you were groomed like that from when you were a child up until adulthood. I'm sure that part of you, just a little part of you, is still like that, because that's how you were groomed to think, right? But what I'm trying to drive home here, especially for the sake of this video, is that you don't owe anybody anything at all. Why is that? And I'm going to explain why. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do. Well, two things. Number one is that in the Bible, it talks about the last days, that every good deed is going to be revealed, and God is going to judge every good deed, whether good or bad. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it doesn't matter how good you do something. It doesn't matter if you throughout your life, let's say you thought you were perfect and you did everything perfect, that you were there for this person, you were there for that person, you got good grades in school, whatever it was, it doesn't matter what it was. You just thought you did everything perfect. Even then, people still judged everything that you did. Even though you dropped everything that you did, for everybody. Like you were there for everyone. You did everything for everyone. But then at the end of the day, where were they? They were nowhere to be found. You came to find out that you were always the giver. You were always you didn't receive much because you were so groomed and used to giving of yourself. right? And so then people started noticing something different about you. People started judging you more. People started treating you differently, right? But what you have to understand here, what I'm trying to drive home, what you have to understand here is that, that's a good thing. Right? It's a good thing because what's happening, and this has been going on, this is actually a shift that's been going on in the world, at least that I've been noticing, is that what's been happening is that those same people who are judging you, they have nothing going in their lives anyway, right? Because the thing is that normal people who have good intentions for you, who respect you for who you are and want to be there for you and things like that, those people that have it up for you and want what's best for you, believe it or not, those are the people that should be in your life, the people that have your best interest at heart. But see, there are many people in your life that are jealous of you, that are envious of you, that want to be you. I mentioned that in my last video, and I mentioned about body swapping. They want to be you, right? There are many people that wish that they had what you had, right? And so because of that, and the narcissist is at the top of that list, the narcissist is jealous and envious of you. That's why, believe it or not, that's how the narcissist, you encounter the narcissist most likely, because the narcissist, saw you. Whether it was romantic or not, your parents or they were watching you from afar. They knew that you had a high level of empathy, that you would never quit, that you would always give, and you would never stop giving. And then once all your resources ran out, then the narcissist would leave you stranded. They wouldn't want anything to do with you because narcissists don't care about people. They only care about what people can provide for them for that time. And then once those resources are gone, the narcissist just goes off to the next person and does the same thing. Because narcissists, they all play by the same playbook. They do the same exact things, but they do it to different people in different doses because they know who can tolerate who can tolerate how much, right? And so they need to groom different people for different purposes, right? And so what I'm saying here, guys, is that you don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe anybody an explanation, because the truth is, and the book of Ezekiel even talks about this as well, is that this life is meaningless, is that we are here today and we are gone tomorrow, right? Everything we do on this earth also is temporary, right? And so because everything is temporary, you might as well live your life the way that you want to live it, not the way somebody else wants you to live it. Not because if you want to, let's say, be a singer one day or a chef or something like that, you want to change the world in some capacity, but then somebody else, like your parent, is telling you, oh no, I want you to be an engineer, or oh no, I want you to be this, I want you to be that, but then you don't want to be that. That's not what you want to do, right? Then then you do what you want to do, right? It's not about them, it's about you, right? And even if you were to follow their advice and become, let's say, an engineer, whatever they wanted you to be, then it still wouldn't be good enough. Why? Because they would want you to do something on top of that. So see what I'm saying, guys? Nothing is ever good enough for narcissists. They have this need for something that they will never get, right? Because there's only so much money, there's only so much sex, there's only so much love that somebody can give of themselves. We don't have enough of everything because we're not perfect human beings. And so because we're not perfect human beings, guys, that means that we can only give so much until we lose everything that we have. So what I'm saying is that you don't owe anybody anything. You need to live life on your own terms, right? Just because the narcissist or somebody in your life is telling you this or that and they expect you to do it, doesn't mean that you have to do it. It means that you can make a choice, right? Because life is ruled by our choices, right? Think about the beginning of the Bible. When you think about the beginning of the Bible, when Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, and Satan, and God said, don't eat of that fruit because you will surely die if you eat it. And then, Eve was tempted by Satan. Satan came and got all up in Eve's ear and told her, if you eat that fruit, you will become better than God. You will know better than God. And then they were deceived. And then Eve was like, oh, okay. And then she took a bite of the fruit. And that's when the fall of humanity started. That's when narcissism started. Because after Eve did that, guess what happened? Satan ran away. He slithered off. He went away, right? So it's the same thing. Once the narcissist gets you, right, where they want you and they take everything from you, then they run away. They go off to somebody else and do the exact same things. So that's what I'm trying to say, guys, is that live your life on your own terms. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about that person who is jealous and envious of you that wants to take advantage of you at every turn, even though you've been nothing but good to them, right? Don't worry about that. Live life on your own terms. Do what is right. Focus on being the best version of yourself that you can. Don't have anything to do with what other people are doing, right? Because if you have things to do with what other people are doing, that shows that those other people have power over you. You're actually giving your power to them, and you shouldn't be doing that. You should be focusing on yourself. You should be focusing on what makes you happy. And like I said before, there's a shift in the world where many people are realizing, that they've spent too much of their lives giving too much to other people, whether it was to their job, whether it was to their families, whether it was to their spouses, whether it was to their relationships, whether it was to, strangers. They were giving too much. But now they've realized that they need to take some of that energy and put it back onto themselves. They need to start doing things that they enjoy, right? And that's why I make emphasis on the fact that the way to break free from the narcissistic fog and the trauma bond and all that stuff, the way to let go of the narcissist and get them out of your minds, the way to do that is to start focusing on what you love to do. Start doing things that you enjoy. Focus more on the things that make you happy, not the things that make other people happy. So if for example, your spouse, they let's say that your spouse is a narcissist and they say that you should always be working, you should always be doing something all the time, right? But then you can't have any downtime and relax and enjoy yourself, maybe go on a vacation and, enjoy time with the kids, but you're a narcissist or your narcissistic husband or wife, they want you to always be working, then what they're doing is they're trying to zap your energy. They're trying to take everything from you, right? They want you to live life on their terms, not on your terms, but on their terms. And you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be living your life on somebody else's terms. You should be living life on your own terms, right? Focusing on yourself, right? Think back to all the things that you have been through, especially in the narcissistic experience, all the manipulation, all the gaslighting, all the triangulation where you were pitted against, your siblings or pitted against your friend or your girlfriend's ex-boyfriend and all that. It doesn't matter. You can replace it with whatever you want. Think about all the object constancy you experience. And for those of you who are new to the channel, thank you so much for being here. What object constancy is, because I know it's not familiar to many people. Object constancy just means when the narcissist is ungrateful for everything that you have done for them. When, let's say that you catered to their needs, you were there for them and you did everything for them. And let's say that you guys have a disagreement and you're talking about the many good times you guys had, and the narcissist says something to the effect of, oh, well, you didn't have to do that. I didn't ask you to do that. That was your choice. And then now you feel, now you're blaming yourself because now you feel as though you didn't give enough to the relationship. That's what object constancy is. They do that so that you feel bad about yourself, right? So that you blame yourself, right? And they also do, when you think back to all the, spiritual abuse, all of the financial abuse you experienced, when you think back to all of that, that was because you were being controlled. Whether you want to believe it or not, you were being controlled, right? Narcissists, remember what I said in all my videos, right? Narcissists thrive off of chaos, confusion, and control, right? And their end game is the third one, which is control. They want to control everything because they believe that they should have what others have. But whenever they get what they want, what others do have, they no longer want it anymore, right? Because narcissists are ungrateful. Narcissists are jealous. Narcissists believe that they're entitled, that they should have more than everybody, or that they should have what others have. They can't just be. They can't just enjoy life because they're on the run from all the lives that they've destroyed, all the lies that they've told, all the relationships that they have blown up and driven wedges between, right? Narcissists have when you think back to all these things that you have been through, you were being controlled, right? And so you couldn't just do what you want. You couldn't just, not owe it to anyone because you were being controlled, and you didn't realize this. You didn't know that there were people that control other people on purpose, knowing that they know what they're doing. I myself didn't know that people do it on purpose. I just thought, growing up as a kid and up into my adulthood, I just thought that that there were people who were just toxic, that people just had challenges. I just thought that you had two groups of people who were nice and were respectful, and then you just had people who were disrespectful and just had problems. I didn't realize that people just destroy other people's lives on purpose, knowing that they know what they're doing. I didn't know any of that until I met my ex-wife and found out she was a covert narcissist. I didn't know any of that, right? And so what I'm trying to say here, guys, is that you need to focus on living life on your own terms. I've reiterated sometimes in my quite a couple of times in this video now, but I need to make emphasis of that you need to live life on your own terms. You need to enjoy the things that you love doing, right? So that the narcissist can't control. Because the truth is, and I'm going to tell you this, when you live life on your own terms, this makes the narcissist angry. It angers the narcissist. Why is that? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you the answer. The answer is because narcissists, remember, they are miserable people. They are jealous people. They don't like seeing other people happy. They don't like seeing others succeed. They don't like seeing others do better than them. Right? So if you're, let's say, a good husband, right? You're living your life, you're taking care of the kids, you're paying the bills, you're succeeding in your career, you're making a lot of money, things like that. And let's say your ex-wife is the narcissist. You're married to your ex-wife, she's the narcissist. She doesn't want to see you happy. She hates seeing it when you succeed. She doesn't like it. I'll give you an example. When I was married to my ex-wife, and I told you guys, I may have told this this story before, but I'll tell it again for the sake of this video and those who are new to my channel. I remember when, and I'm a chef, as you can see on my picture on that back wall, I'm a chef. And so I was going for one of my certifications to become a Red Seal chef. And when I was going for this certification, it was something really important to me, very dear to me. I'd been studying for it, and believe it or not, and I'll tell you guys this, I'm not ashamed to tell anyone this. I failed the exam 3 times. There were 3 times, on 3 occasions where I was unsuccessful. I didn't pass the exam. And, at one point I thought to myself, I wasn't sure if I was going to actually get my Red Seal. But then, I didn't let that defeat me. I didn't let it get me down. So what I did was I took a course, and then I started a Red Seal course, and then I started studying harder. And then, eventually, I got my Red Seal, right? I passed the exam, and that gave me happiness. It made me happy, right? And I knew I was gonna, in the back of my head, I knew I was gonna get at some point. But anyways, I had to do what I had to do there. So what had happened next is that, when I got my exam, I started telling everyone. I told my ex-wife's family, I told my family about it, I told some of my friends, and I was so happy, I was so filled with joy. You know what I mean? And then, I reached out to my ex-wife as she was at work. And then this is what I got, and this is going to shock some of you. This is what I got. The person who I thought loved me and wanted to share my successes with me. This is what I got. I called her up at work, and I told her, guess what? I got my Red Seal. And then her response was, oh, okay. And then I was like, sorry, did you hear me? Did the phone glitch out? Did you hear what I just said? I passed my Red Seal, the exam, the chef exam. And then she was like, yeah, I know. That's great, Paul. And I was like, okay. Okay, well, and so I was shocked at first, and then all I could say was, okay, well, I thought you were going to be, a little bit more happier for me. Well, I guess I will see you at home later. And then she was like, love you, bye. And then click. And I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe that happened. And you can't make this stuff up because it actually did happen. So what I'm trying to show you here is that, the narcissist, whether it doesn't even have to be romantic. It can even be your siblings. You tell your siblings something, and now they're jealous of you and say, oh, I could do better than you. And, I got my certifications, and, mine is better than yours. And then, now you're comparing yourself, and now you feel defeated. Right? So what I'm saying, guys, is that, live life on your own terms, right? Because it doesn't matter how much of something you do, how good you are at something, there will always be someone that is always complaining, because people in this life is meaningless and temporary. And people in general, especially these days, are never satisfied. People can't just be satisfied with what they have. They can't just be grateful and say, look at what I have. Look at the house I have, or the food I have, or the drink I have, or this or that I have. They can't just be grateful for it. They need to throw it in people's faces and try to compete and think that life is just a game. Life is a competition. And truth be told, guys, narcissists, they believe that life is a game that they have to win. They don't believe that things that people are supposed to work together as a team. They believe that life is a game and that they should always be on top of everybody. And if they're below everybody, they need to try and find a way to stomp all over the people who are above them just to get up there, whether it's through manipulating them, whether it's through lying to their faces, whether it's through making things up that never even happened. Narcissists, by the way, have a thing for doing that. They make up stories about things that never happened, or they will twist the narrative. See, that's manipulation, where they twist the narrative and say something and try to make the story what they wanted when that's not what really happened, right? Narcissists also don't like accountability. So go and watch my video about accountability. It's called Accountability. Go watch that video. I tell you right now, go watch it. Accountability. Narcissists don't like being accountable. They hate being, because if they have to be accountable, that means that they have to, in order to be accountable, it means that you have to be able to introspect. It means that you have to be able to look inside yourself and say, yeah, I messed up. Okay? And I want to do better. Narcissists cannot do that because they believe inside their disordered brains, inside of that disordered, the empathy part of their brain that's disordered, and the fact that they're also demon possessed. They believe that they're infallible. They believe that they're the best thing on this planet. When in reality, they're nothing like the best thing on this planet. They're the total opposite of the best thing on this planet. They're a nothing, right? Narcissists are a nothing, right? That's why they need to. That's why I made a video also called Mirror on the Wall. And I know I'm going off on this video, but I need to. I made a video called Mirror on the Wall. And what that talks about is the fact that narcissists mirror back to you what they think you want to see, right? They mirror back to you to also steal your ideas because they have no ideas of their own. They have no originality. They're not normal people that can just have their own ideas and just work together. They're empty inside. That's why they can just go from supply to supply to supply to supply, because narcissists see human beings, me and you, empaths, and just human beings in general. Narcissists see human beings as supply, and they see us as energy sources. So once your energy is zapped and they've stolen all your energy, now their energy is up like this and your energy has gone down like this. Once everything is taken away from you like that, that's why they go from you to the next supply, to the next supply, to the next supply, and just repeat the same exact cycle of narcissistic abuse over and over and over again, right? Which is love bomb, devaluation, discard, sometimes a Hoover, and don't accept a Hoover. If you're new to my channel, don't accept a Hoover. And it just goes around and around and around and around and around to every single person that they come in contact with. They do that as a coping mechanism, and also because, again, it goes back to the fact that they are empty people. They have no original. They're empty inside. That's why they mirror. That's why they mirror back to you to steal your ideas, to steal your identity. Okay. All right. So that's what I wanted to say for this video. I know it was a little bit longer I know my videos have been longer, but I'm trying to drive home points to make you guys understand this, guys, because narcissism is becoming an epidemic, and no, narcissism is not on the spectrum. I hate when commentators and people say that, and I know that people are going to disagree with me again, but I don't care. I'm just saying that narcissism isn't on a spectrum. You have different narcissists, yes, coverts, overts, grandiose, malignant, spirituals, and all of that in between. You have all of them, but they're not on no damn spectrum. I don't get what people mean by that. They're not on a spectrum. Just because you have different narcissists doesn't mean that they're on a spectrum. All covert narcissists do the exact same things, but they do it differently to different people because they're dealing with a different person. So what my covert narcissist did to me The same covert narcissist that did that to me is doing that same thing to someone else, but just in a different way because it's a different person, right? Malignant narcissists knock out and kill other people the same way that they would the same way they would kill someone else in a different way because it's a different person. So I'm trying to get you guys to understand this, really, that I want you guys to focus on yourself. Stop focusing on what other people think. Who cares what other people think? Because even if you do good, they're still gonna complain anyway. So do what makes you happy. Focus on what makes you happy. Stop trying to please other people, thinking that if you please them, that you owe them something. Stop that. It's nonsense. Okay? Understand what I'm saying. All right. So thank you so much for being here today and join me here today at Narcissism 101, Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. Like I said, if you want a one-on-one session, email me at paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com or send me a text message at 647-406-3057. If you want to talk, if you want to vent, if you just want to call, send a text to that number. Let me know you want to talk, and I'd be more than happy to give you advice and help to your situation. Also, like, subscribe, and put a comment down below if you can relate to what I'm talking about. Also, share this video with someone who you think could use the knowledge and who you think could need some help and things like that. You can share it with them. It don't matter to me. And then, I'd be more than happy to see you on the next video. So, thank you so much for being here today, and take care until the next video.